We gave it everything we've got. But the voters chose another path. We are suspending our campaign.
Welcome to the Talking Points special web report on Ted Cruz ending his presidential bid. I'm Topher alongside Dan Prager. So Dan, is the race over now in the Republican primaries, or can Trump still lose?
The race is over in a sense. It's not over because there are still states to be won. He doesn't have the magic number of 1,237. He's 184 away right now, but there's enough states that he has a commanding lead in that he is going to get it, and there's almost no way. It would take a miracle for John Kasich to overtake him. If you look at some of these states, West Virginia, New Jersey, he has commanding leads. He'll probably take the majority of delegates. California, at worst, with Kasich campaigning there for the rest of his campaign, Trump still wins about 78 delegates at the worst. And Oregon, he gets at least half. If you add up all those numbers together, he's about 100. That's about 167 more. That's 17 away. And then there's 4 more states with no polling data. Plus, that's all worst case scenario. So he's almost there. He's very close.
So with Cruz dropping out, you don't think that Kasich can make any surge to try and prevent him from getting to 1237?
No, it would be very hard. It would take a miracle. It would need to take something, Trump doing something incredibly just unorthodox, incredibly stupid for him to lose a lot of voters. And he's shown that no matter what he does, his support is not going away. So really, it's impossible at this point for Kasich to take over.
So what does this mean for November when the election occurs?
Well, it just means that Hillary has a very easy path to the election, assuming she gets there. It's looking more and more like she's going to be. If you look at a general election map right now between all of the states, it looks like there's new swing states, whereas opposed to like North Carolina and Florida are swing states in the past, you've seen states like Texas and Mississippi, usually really red states, becoming swing states in polling data right now because Trump is very unpopular there. So if you take the best case scenario for Donald Trump, he at least wins about 218 delegates, or 100 less than Hillary. And in the worst case scenario, he loses about 300 delegates more than Hillary. And that would be probably the biggest loss in a general election in recent memory. And that would be really historic.
So will this fracture the Republican Party then?
I think it will a bit. I think a lot of people are going to come over to Trump, like the Ted Cruz effect, where a lot of people said, well, you'd never vote for Cruz, but when he became the only option, they went over to him. I think a lot of people will not vote or go over to Hillary, though. John McCain's press secretary said he's going to support Hillary now because he just can't support Trump. So I think there's going to be a bit of a split, not as much as many people are expecting, but I think people will definitely move away from the Republican Party, as shown by the general election map.
So then, what party members in the Republican establishment do you think that will back Donald Trump?
Do I think will back? I think Lindsey Graham will end up backing him. I think it will take a lot of getting used to because he said the difference between Trump and Cruz is getting shot or poisoned, but he ended up supporting Cruz anyway, not very wholeheartedly, but he did. The people to look out for are really more who won't, because a lot of senators and congressmen are going to support him just for party loyalty. The chair of the RNC supported Trump and said we have to coalesce behind him. So I think a lot of people, just for the sake of unity, are going to go and support him. I think some people to look at are Mark Kirk, who's like the most moderate senator right now, and John McCain, who his press secretary recently said no, and McCain is not very supportive of Donald Trump.
Do you think any Republicans will back Donald Trump to try and get something in his cabinet, in his office?
Well, it's already happened. Chris Christie dropped out and, surprisingly enough, supported Donald Trump. There's a lot of VP talks, Attorney General talks for him. Jeff Sessions, I think, might be lining up for a Secretary of Defense position for supporting him. And you'll see a lot of this in the future, people coming out and trying to gain these positions by getting all cozy with him, because that's how you get positions around Trump. You help him out.
So then with Trump, probably definitely the Republican nominee, who do you think will be on his VP shortlist?
I think the top name on the short list is Chris Christie. As I said before, he dropped out, supported him, and really has put himself in that position, the #1 position. You also have Susana Martinez, the New Mexico governor, who's female, Hispanic, and very good balance to Trump. And New Mexico would probably be a swing state under a Trump candidacy. Marco Rubio is actually a surprising choice because there's a possibility if Rubio were to take it, Trump would want that because he's an establishment darling. Rubio's kind of warmed up to him. They were very aggressive before, but it could definitely happen. Anything's possible in this election. You also have people like Rick Scott, the Florida governor, and even Sarah Palin are also options here.
All right, well, Dan, thanks for coming in. Be sure to stick around on Citrus TV News on Twitter and check us out on YouTube in the fall when Talking Points returns during the full election season. I'm Topher Lane alongside Dan Prager. Thanks for tuning in.